Today, we're going to get into a really powerful story. It's about a love that was forged in a revolution, a betrayal that ends up fueling 14 years of pure hatred, and a truth so devastating it changes absolutely everything in a single moment. So that really is the central question of this whole story, right? What happens? It's all about this man, Ivan. His entire life, his whole reason for being, has been boiled down to just one thing: revenge. But as you're about to see, the reality he finally comes face to face with is, well, it's way more complicated than the simple hatred he's been nursing for all those years. Okay, so let's set the scene. Our story kicks off right at the gates of the Ohatsk prison. After 14 long years of physical torture and just unimaginable mental anguish, Ivan is finally a free man. But here's the thing, he doesn't come out broken, no way. He emerges like a caged lion that's just been set loose, even more ferocious, even hungrier for blood because of the walls that held him. 14 years. Just let that sink in for a second. That's a huge chunk of a person's life, all spent in captivity. And every single day, every hour, every minute of those 14 years was fueled by one single thought: confronting the woman he was so sure had put him there. That incredible amount of time, it didn't weaken his resolve, not at all. It forged it into something as hard as steel. And this contrast is what's so absolutely wild about him. The jailer even points out that Ivan has lost almost half his body weight. I mean, he's a shadow of the man he once was, basically a walking skeleton. But inside, his spirit is a raging inferno. It's like the desire for revenge has literally eaten away at his body, but at the same time, it's supercharged his will to just keep living. So, you know when the jailer is like, hey, you should really take care of yourself? Ivan just scoffs at him. He knows exactly what's keeping him alive. And it's not food or water, that's for sure. It's this all-consuming fire in his heart. His entire purpose in life is now completely tied up with his vengeance. The way he sees it, as long as that fire burns, so will he. So, to really understand where this fire comes from, we have to rewind. We're going back in time 15 years before he was released, all the way back to Moscow. And here, Ivan is a completely different person. He's not a prisoner. He's this bright, promising son of a noble family. And most importantly, he is deeply, deeply in love. And the woman he loved, Helen, well, they were the absolute classic case of opposites attract. You know the type? He was spirited, maybe a little impulsive, loved his leisure and a good drink, spent money like it was nothing. She, on the other hand, was super disciplined, frugal, loved poetry and music, very reserved, hiding these deep emotions. And it was that exact difference that created this incredible magnetic pull between them. It was a passionate, all-consuming kind of love. But, of course, their romance wasn't going to be some simple, happy story. It's playing out against this backdrop of serious political turmoil. There's this tyrannical new governor, a guy named Romanov, and he is just crushing the nationalist movement with an iron fist. Helen was already a passionate nationalist and, well, her fire soon ignited Ivan, pulling them both into a really dangerous revolutionary war. Things just keep getting worse. The oppression under Romanov becomes unbearable. We're talking public beatings, executions. The entire city is just paralyzed by fear. And Helen, she decides they can't just stand by and do nothing. So she comes up with a plan that's as brilliant as it is incredibly deadly. And this plan is audacious, to say the least. Okay, so here's how it's supposed to go down. Step 1, Helen is going to use her charm, her beauty, to get close to Romanov, make him believe she's completely infatuated with him. Step 2, she's going to lure him to this secluded spot in a park late at night. And that brings us to step 3. That's the signal for Ivan, who's hiding in the shadows, to strike and assassinate the tyrant. The whole thing, the entire plan, it all hinges on Helen's ability to pull off this massive deception. And right here, just before they go their separate ways to put this whole thing in motion, Helen asks Ivan this really haunting question. She knows that to play her part, to be Romanov's admirer, she's gonna have to do things that are gonna look like a betrayal. She's basically asking for his blind trust, his faith. And it's a moment that just completely foreshadows the horrible misunderstanding that's about to unfold. So, the night finally arrives. You can just feel the tension in the air. Ivan is waiting in the park, revolver in hand, his heart is just pounding out of his chest. Helen is with Romanov, playing her part perfectly. Everything is going exactly according to plan, until, suddenly, it isn't. And just like that, in a flash, it all goes horribly wrong.
Ivan takes his shot, but Romanov, it's like he was expecting it. He instantly tackles him. And then, in this surreal moment, the park is just flooded with police. It was a trap. The whole thing was a trap. Ivan is completely overwhelmed, arrested on the spot. His revolution, his entire life, it's over in a heartbeat. But the final, soul-crushing blow comes at his trial. The state's key witness, the person whose testimony seals his fate and sends him to that prison for 14 long years, is Helen, the woman he loves, the woman he was fighting for. She betrayed him in the most public, most brutal way you can possibly imagine. All right, let's jump back to the present. 14 years have passed. Ivan gets off the train, and he is heading straight for Helen's home. He has this venomous speech that he's been rehearsing for over a decade, and it's right there on the tip of his tongue. He is ready. Ready for the one confrontation that has kept him alive all this time. And what he plans to say to her, it's pure poison. For 14 years, he has pictured this exact moment. He's going to tell her that she just threw him away for power, for wealth, to be in the arms of the very man they swore they would destroy. He wants to watch her crumble. He wants to see his words just crush her. So he bursts into the house like a madman, ready to just unleash all that fury. But there's no confrontation. There's no screaming match. There's just a room full of mourners, and right in the center of it all is Helen's coffin. The object of his 14-year obsession is dead. And as Ivan is just reeling, trying to make sense of any of this, a figure starts to approach him through the crowd. And it is literally the last person on earth he ever expected to speak to again. That's right, it's Romanov, Governor Romanov himself, the man he tried to kill, the man who Ivan is convinced stole his love. And he just walks right up to him. But instead of anger or accusations, Romanov starts to talk. And what he says is a truth that is about to absolutely shatter Ivan's entire world. And Romanov, he explains everything. Helen's betrayal? It wasn't a betrayal at all. It was the ultimate sacrifice. Turns out she confessed the entire plot to Romanov before it even happened. She traded her life to save Ivan's. She agreed to become Romanov's companion, to publicly condemn Ivan at the trial, all to spare him from being executed. Her entire life, for all those years, was just an act of penance, an act of devotion to him. Then Romanov delivers Helen's final message to him. She always saw herself as the one to blame, the culprit, as she put it, for getting him involved in a plan that cost him his freedom. Her dying wish wasn't for peace or for her own salvation. It was for Ivan's forgiveness. And in that single moment, that fire that kept Ivan going for 14 years, it's just extinguished, gone. And in its place is this icy flood of grief and regret. Think about it. The entire foundation of his existence, this righteous, burning hatred, was a lie. He wasn't betrayed. He was saved. He wasn't forgotten. He was the secret, sorrowful center of her entire world for all that time. Ivan stays there, at her grave, all through the night. His spirit is finally broken free from that prison of hate he'd built for himself. The next morning, Romanov finds him there. He's passed away. His body, now that its vengeful purpose was complete, it just gave out. In death, he's finally reunited with her, his soul at last, and so tragically, at peace. And that leaves us with this really profound question, doesn't it? By saving Ivan's life, but at the cost of condemning him to 14 years of this agonizing, all-consuming hatred, was what Helen did an act of ultimate love, an incredible sacrifice? Or, by keeping that truth from him, did she, without even knowing it, inflict a cruelty on him that was far, far worse than any prison sentence could ever